emotional pain and suffering continues with the Yentas on The View. You know, it is going to be a long 12 years for the Yentas and their pretend friends in the mainstream media. Well, Uncle KC, don't you mean long 4 years? Are you insinuating that the Orange Man will be a dictator? No, I'm talking about the 4 years with the Trumper and the 8 years with J.D. Vance or a future president to be named later. Because God willing, there is absolutely no way the party of they will win the next 2 elections. But for now, it is going to be a long 4 years for the media. Larry O'Donnell over at MSNBC, he is so devastated by the Trumper that he is temporarily quitting work. Next week, Larry is taking a sabbatical from his primetime dump on MSNBC. I'm sure he was expecting some sympathy. I'm sure he was expecting support from lonely men. Go get 'em, Tiger. You take all the time you need, Sparky. While you're on vacation, though, will you send us a shirtless selfie? Unfortunately for Larry, there was complete and total silence when he announced his temporary departure because no one gives a shit about Larry O'Donnell. But that's okay. I'm sure Larry is looking forward to spending a full week of quality time with his pretend wife, Rosie O'Donnell. He is filled with anticipation, hoping his water hose will be enough to cure the lifelong drought in the O'Donnell desert. My inside sources, they are telling me that Larry called up his good friend Gabby Newsom, governor of the People's Republic of California, called up his good friend Gabby, asking where he could find an endless supply of reliable water. I guess Larry was anticipating a busy week with the Rose, but unfortunately for Larry, Gabby was unable to provide a reliable source. He told Larry to call up his friends in Flint. Maybe they have some water, but we are fresh out here in California. Surf's up, dude! You know, when I think of someone being stuck, I think of someone like Larry O'Donnell being stuck spending a week with a withered rose over in Ireland. I think of someone being stuck in a job that they hate. For the better part of 15 years, I would dread waking up in the morning. Once I got up and going, it was fine, or at least I could at least tolerate it, but I would dread waking up because I would dread going to work. I think I told you guys this before, but the last year or two of my job, I would start dreading Monday morning on Friday afternoon. That was when I realized I was stuck. That was when I realized I could not live the rest of my life this way. I didn't give a damn what it took. I don't care if I had to work 100 hours a week building this platform. I didn't care if I had to sacrifice sleep or sacrifice time with my friends and family. When I was dreading Monday morning on Friday afternoon, I did not care what it took. I refused to live the rest of my life being stuck. So when someone tells me they are stuck, that is what I automatically think about because that's what I went through personally. But during those times of struggle, not one time did I feel like I was stuck living in America. Not one time did I blame mythical racism. Not one time did I portray myself as the ultimate victim. It wasn't the country's fault that I was stuck. It wasn't my parents' fault. It wasn't the school system. I didn't blame some mythical system that was rigged against me. It was my fault. Unfortunately, that level of self-reflection, it is non-existent with the Yentas on The View. More specifically, it is non-existent with Uncle Casey's personal favorite Yenta, Asuncion. Yesterday morning, the Yentas were doing what they do best. They were whining and complaining about the Trumper. While the whoopee cushion was serenading the audience of lonely women playing the classic ballads with her boodle flute, Sunny Hostin was providing the lyrics. There was one part of the song that caught my attention. It was kind of difficult to notice it at first because the smog of the boodle breeze was distracting me. And look. maybe I am interpreting this wrong. It is entirely possible that the sound of the whoopee cushion cranking her leg and the rancid odor of the boodle breeze has me distracted to the point that I'm just not understanding this correctly. But it sounded to me like Sunny Hostin desperately wants to leave America. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel is in the description below. Later today on the second channel, gonna be talking about basketball legend Cheryl Miller confirming that the jealousy, the hatred of Caitlin Clark is based on race. Now, I was somewhat surprised that someone associated with the WNBA dump was finally willing to admit this publicly. Video is going to be available later on today, so if you haven't already, head over to the second channel and subscribe. Yesterday, the Yentas, they were talking about the Trumper eradicating the woke fungus. The symptoms of stage 4 OMB, oh, it's been bad! The symptoms of stage 4 OMB, they have gotten so severe. Deacons at Woke United Methodist, they are literally fleeing the country. It's very similar to the strategy that Gabby Newsom implemented in the People's Republic of California. Gabby made life so miserable. He made life so unaffordable. People were leaving California and buying slums in Tijuana. But like I said, Trumper is doing something similar. He is making life so miserable for deacons at Woke United Methodist. They are fleeing to Ireland. They are fleeing to Mexico. They're fleeing to California. The deacons want to live somewhere they can freely practice their woke faith. They want to live somewhere they can be comfortable walking out the house in a tuck-friendly bathing suit. Yesterday morning, the Yentas were discussing the courageous exodus of Rosie O'Donnell. Ooh, she is so brave. Rose is so inspiring. When Rose has a problem, she doesn't confront it. She hops on her broom and flies away. While discussing the exodus of Rose, the Yentas decided to pretend they were psychiatrists, but instead of diagnosing Rosie O'Donnell with some pretend diagnosis, they decided to psychologically evaluate the Trumper. Watch it for yourself.
Oh, it's almost like you know, he's a toddler. His frontal lobe is not really fully developed, in my opinion, and so he probably suffers from that imposter syndrome.
What? Excuse me? First of all, when did Sunny Hostin become a doctor? All this time, I have been thinking that Sunny Hostin was a professional Yenta. I didn't know that she was a doctor. I know they like to play make-believe. I know they like to pretend. I guess Sunny Hostin thinks she is qualified to be a doctor because last fall, she sat next to pretend Dr. Jill Biden on The View, which means Sunny Hostin isn't qualified to diagnose a bruised caboose, much less something called imposter syndrome. I thought this was an interesting diagnosis because Sunny Hostin, she is very familiar with imposter syndrome. Every morning on The View, she sits next to the great imposter, the great pretender, Alyssa the Farrah Griffin, someone who has been pretending to be a Republican for years now. Only problem is, no one is willing to suspend their disbelief and believe it. Couple of minutes later, Sunny Hostin continued with another fake diagnosis. She diagnosed America as a democracy, even though the Constitution clearly states that America is a republic. But either way, doesn't matter to Sun because she doesn't want to be here. Watch for yourself.
It's a pretty young democracy that doesn't seem to be working right now. And so I do think
I believe more in America than Donald Trump's ability to ruin it.
It doesn't seem to be working for everyone. And I think that's Rosie O'Donnell's prerogative, and that's her point. It doesn't work for her family, and she is one of the few people that can pick her life up and move it somewhere. Most of us are stuck here.
First of all, who is the country not working for? The Yentas always do this. They distract you by releasing a toxic mouth fart, but they never provide examples of what they're talking about. Who is America not working for? Better yet, who is stuck here? Last I checked, There was no one on the southern border preventing you from leaving. They are preventing you from coming in without proper documentation, but they're damn sure not keeping you from leaving. If you don't want to be here, leave. I promise you. I promise you. If you're a proud deacon at Woke United Methodist and you're wanting to leave America, all you got to do is start a GoFundMe and normal people will gladly donate to your exodus. Hell, we might even book you first-class accommodations. The thing is, though, Sunny Hostin doesn't need donations to leave the country. Just out of curiosity, I looked up some financials on Asuncion. I know money is tight right now for Sun because her husband Moon is involved in a lawsuit. Back in November, ABC reduced her woke welfare. The value of her mouth farts had declined, so ABC did what any smart business would do. They decreased her salary by $3 million a year. So money is tight right now in the land of the rising sun. But Sunny Hostin is still making $5 million a year. I looked up first-class accommodations from LaGuardia to Heathrow, New York City to London. American Airlines can have the sun rising in London in 7 hours for less than $5,000. Clearly, Sun can afford it. So if she's so miserable in America, if she feels stuck in America, why doesn't she just leave? The answer is simple. It's all an act. This was just another dramatic performance from a bad actress. That's why I told you guys the other day I respect Rosie O'Donnell. She said she was going to leave, and she left. All these woke celebrities, these people in the woke media, you don't have to go through the effort of telling us that you're leaving. Just leave. You don't have to announce your departure. You don't have to let us know that you made it to Uranus safely. All you got to do is leave. I promise you, we're not going to miss you. Give me your thoughts on this. Sunny Hostin complains about being stuck in America, but refuses to leave. She would rather stay here and pretend to be miserable than pursue happiness elsewhere. Why? I think it's a lie. I think it's a performance. If Sunny Hostin really wanted to leave, she could damn sure afford to leave. So why does she choose to stay? You tell me. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys later.